Yo, what is up everybody, it's Jithiga here, and welcome back to another episode of the Naruto Fandom Opinion Dissection. So as you can tell by today's title and the screen, we're going to be watching a video called 26 Unsolved Mysteries in Naruto and Boruto. So to give the creator credit, shout out to Gojo Satori, who made this video. So there are many mysteries within the Naruto verse that many individuals within the fandom question and would like answers to, right? We all would like answer to some of these mysteries. There are many mysteries due to ambiguity, due to things never being specified or further explored, etc. And today I'm going to do my best to try and give my take on some of the most intriguing mysteries within the Naruto verse. So let us begin. Let's see. Alright, let's let the first three pop up. I think it's going to go three at a time, I believe. Alright, so let's answer these first three. Number one, how did Hashirama die? Now this is my take on it. Right, again, it was never specified or further explored how Hashirama died clearly, which is why it is hence a mystery. But we do know Hashirama Senju was the god of shinobi during his time on Earth, right? He defeated Madara Uchiha in battle. So to assume that someone else could have possibly killed him is quite a stretch. Right? If him and Madara are the strongest shinobi on Earth, which seemed to be the case, it is very unlikely that he was killed in battle. It is very, very unlikely. So in my opinion, he probably died due to maybe an illness. Or maybe he died in a similar fashion to maybe how the third Raikage did, which is just from pure exhaustion. Right? He fought, I believe, 10,000 shinobi and died due to exhaustion. That is maybe a possibility. But yeah, to say that he died by someone's hand is quite the stretch in my mind. If he's able to defeat Madara, and when he seemingly seems invincible to everybody else, right? I think that's a fair claim to make as to how he most likely died. So most likely he died due to exhaustion, maybe due to illness, etc. Although the illness one would be more contentious because, again, he heals very quickly, right? But let's continue on to the second one. Who could destroy such a strong clan as the Uzumaki? That's a good question. However, I don't think it is exactly safe to assume that everyone in the Uzumaki clan is strong, right? Because look at Karin, for example. She's more of a sensory type, pretty useless in battle for the most part. Look at Kushina, really didn't do much. She was a Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, which is impressive, to say the least, but she never showed any combat ability. And Naruto happens to have the Nine Tails within him, right? And happened to have half of Minato's genes, who is a Namikaze. So keep that in mind as well. Nagato happened to have a Renegon implanted in his fucking eyes by Obito, or Renegons. So they had amps. Furthermore, I would say overall there isn't enough to conclude that the Uzumaki are exactly strong, quote unquote. Yes, they have great chakra levels, right? Great, what some describe as life spirits, right? They're able to take on the Nine Tails, for fuck's sake, and survive. They have very, very strong life energy, I guess you could say. But to say that they are strong overall isn't the safest of claims. But to answer the question, who could destroy such a clan as the Uzumaki, I think any decently strong village could have done it. Or upper tier clans, such as the Hyuga, the Uchiha, the Senju, right? So I think there's a variety of options. But let's continue on. How will Konoha be destroyed? Alright, so this is my take on this, right? So now we're going into Boruto. From the time skip that we do get, the short glimpse that we get at the very beginning of the manga/anime, it seems very apparent that Kawaki has gone rogue, right? Just the very altercation that is about to take place between Kawaki and Boruto is very apparent. And the words that comes out of his mouth, right? I'm going to take you to the same place I took Lord Seventh, implies that he's at a point of seemingly no return, at least at the moment. And Boruto seemingly seems like the last hope of the old way of the shinobi, which Naruto tried to hold dear, right? Which he's still trying to do. But in an era of cyborgs and Otsutsuki and God-given ability, it seems that the trajectory of the shinobi verse as we know it is shifting. Even now, in current Boruto, we have these cyborgs threatening the very existence of the shinobi world. Right? Naruto is now nerfed. Sasuke is now nerfed. Kawaki seems to have a conflicting battle within himself. Right? He wants to hold dear to Naruto's values. He seemingly right now, as of now, still cares greatly about Naruto. However, he was willing to kill Boruto to stop the Otsutsuki, which implies he's willing to do whatever it takes to stop the Otsutsuki from taking over. And to me, it seemingly seems like his mindset is the old way of the shinobi doesn't work anymore. No matter how hard you work, you'll never catch up. You'll never be able to defend the world from these cyborgs and these ridiculous threats that are now present. So, to answer the question, how will Konoha be destroyed? In my opinion, it'll either be a battle between maybe Kawaki and the cyborgs, or maybe Kawaki and the shinobi. Maybe he gets to a point where they said you have to be taken in, and he says no, and he battles them and destroys the whole goddamn village. And then Boruto is the only one that can truly stop him, right? Because clearly he's getting more powerful. He's using Ishiki type abilities. So it's either, in my opinion, Kawaki battling maybe the shinobi or the cyborgs, or the cyborgs maybe battling the shinobi in its entirety and within the leaf. One of those ways, I have a feeling, will be the way it's destroyed. Right? I think those are some safe assumptions, some safe predictions to make. Let's continue on. All right, let's go to the next three. All right, let's pause it. We'll get to the sixth one here. Right there. Where and how did Itachi get the Totsuka sword and the Yatamir? Well, I guess that question you can never truly answer, right? Because they seem like mystical tools that Orochimaru had knowledge of. Orochimaru was shocked when he saw those tools in the possession of Itachi. Itachi is a very obviously intelligent and cerebral individual who most likely knew of these tools and knew that they'd be very, very useful, especially with his Susanoo, right? So Susanoo basically is awakened with them when he awakens his Susanoo. That is definitely truly a mystery, right? And to how he found those, maybe he just scoured the earth until he found them, right? Scoured the earth. Maybe there's some hidden information on these tools within the Uchiha hideout. Who knows? Who knows? But definitely it was something that Itachi had to have looked into. Maybe while he was within the Akatsuki, maybe he's like, I need more firepower if I want to defend Sasuke and the Leaf at the end. Maybe he wanted to use them against Obito. Maybe he wanted to use them against the Akatsuki. Who knows what his plans were prior. But I think his sickness changed everything. Right? When he got sick, which is also another mystery, how he got that exactly. Right? The blood coughing up, things of that nature. He was going blind, we know that, but the blood and all that, that's a very, very intriguing thing, an interesting thing that we never got the answer to as well. So where, I can't really answer that one, but how he most likely did his research. He most likely scoured the earth for them until he found them. Right? Or maybe there was some hidden information that we don't know of. Again, maybe in the Uchiha hideout, etc. So that's the best answer I can give on that one. From whom and where did Hashirama learn Sage Mode? Great question. The best we can assume is that Sage Mode was an ability passed on from previous ancestors within the Senju. Right, so maybe as a younger child, he learned it, mastered it, maybe from his father, maybe from other mentors, I guess you could say. Not to say he really had any mentors, because he was already the top dog at an early age within his own clan. The adults probably showed him. Probably very early on, since he was so talented already at a young age. So he probably learned very, very early on, if I would assume. I think that's the best to answer that. I think this question isn't too hard to answer. Number 6. Why did Akatsuki wear rings and paint their fingers and toenails? Simply put, I think it's just the tradition of the Akatsuki. Right? It's kind of a symbol that you are part of this organization. The Akatsuki was a very prideful group. I mean, it had some of the most powerful shinobi on Earth. Itachi, Nagato, Kisame, Obito, Sasori. Some very, very deadly individuals. So it makes sense why Nagato wanted to kind of have this kind of brotherhood, this evil sort of brotherhood within the Akatsuki. Which is why he probably went to the fingernails, into the rings, into the coats. Alright, so I think that's a pretty easy one to answer as well. Not really a mystery in my opinion. Continue on to the next set of mysteries. Right there. Alright, number 7. Is Hidan alive? Now, there's a very simple way to answer this question. If he does not require any nourishment as far as food, water, etc., then he probably is. Right? He probably is alive, buried under there where Shikamaru left him. But if he needs food and nourishment and all that, then he's probably dead. It's been many years since that took place. Right? Now, if any of you know the specifics as to whether he needs nourishment or not, let me know. I don't know it off the top of my head if he needs nourishment to survive. I know he's immortal as far as damage taken. Right? So please let me know. It's either he needs nourishment, then he's dead, clearly, or he doesn't, and he's still alive down there. Right? So it's an easy one to answer. How did Otsutsuki originate? They're clearly extraterrestrial, right? They're not from Earth, clearly. Kaguya came down, introduced chakra, I believe, and everything went from there. Where they originated from, who knows? There's many avenues that the writers could take with this. It really depends on the writers, right? If they want to just keep it plain and simple and say, oh, the Otsutsuki are the originators of everything, cool. But they can even go further and say the Otsutsuki originated from a planet of gods, and who knows where they could go with this. Where I think they will go with this is that possibly if the Boruto manga and further on continues, they're going to go more in depth on the Otsutsuki, right? Either that, or they're going to stop with the Otsutsuki and just focus on the cyborgs. Who knows, right? Who knows? The Otsutsuki are obviously a pivotal part of Boruto, and who knows if we'll ever get into how they originate, right? Because they seem to be slowly weeded out of the equation, right? Momoshiki can no longer emerge. Ishiki is seemingly dead, at least for the moment, and there seemingly are no Otsutsuki around. That's what it seems to me. So maybe we never learn, and the cyborgs are the next stage of evolution as far as villains are concerned. So to answer how the Otsutsuki originated, there is no real answer. I can't even give a safe answer because I have no clue, right? Like, as far as me even trying to input some headcanon, it's tough. But that's my best answer to that one. It's not really an answer, but yeah. So number 9, why did Kaguya betray Ishiki? If I'm not mistaken, this isn't really a mystery, right? She was brought to Earth to be the sacrifice for the tree of chakra or something of that nature. But she got attached to Earth and refused to do what she was sent to do. I think it's as simple as that, right? Correct me if I'm mistaken. But I believe that's why she betrayed Ishiki and the Otsutsuki clan at large. That's why Momoshiki and Kinshiki came down and more Otsutsuki followed. She grew attachment for Earth. Right? Having kids on Earth. Hagoromo, right? Her sons. She started to care for Earth. And that's why she betrayed them. Her love for Earth overrided her sense of duty for the Otsutsuki. Simple as that. Let's continue on to the next one tier. Alright. Who will destroy Konoha in the future? We kind of answered that, so I'm not really going to answer that. It's either going to be, in my opinion, Kawaki or the cyborgs. We already answered that. So number 11. What are Dogen's abilities? Of course, this hasn't been very further explored. At the beginning of Boruto, we got a glimpse of it. It's able to see invisible barriers that connect dimensions, intangible entities, I believe, can sense emotions to some extent, similar to Naruto. And there isn't much on it. It kind of got tossed to the side, right? With Otsutsuki being introduced and etc. Maybe as Boruto masters his ability to use the karma, now that Momoshiki will never emerge. But Jogan's ability so far, is what we know, is being able to see intangible entities, like I said, that connect dimensions. And I believe the writers have said that it's similar to Naruto's negative emotion sensing ability. That's all we know so far of the Jogan's ability, right? Will Kurama revive like the Three Tails did? Now, folks, I know there are many fans praying for this to happen, but unfortunately, when looking at this logically, it's as simple as this. The reason why the writers nerfed Naruto and Sasuke is to pass the torch to the next generation, right? So to revive Kurama would negate that very passing of the torch, which was a extremely significant moment within the Boruto manga/anime. Extremely significant. It symbolizes the passing of the torch. Even now, battles are starting to be referred to the newer generation. Naruto didn't even do anything when in the last couple of chapters of the manga. He was saved by Kawaki, implying that the passing of the torch has already begun. Sasuke lost his Rinnegan, implying that the passing of the torch has already begun. So to undo all that would be very, very illogical, in my opinion, and will go against the very trajectory that the Boruto timeline is headed in. Right? The whole point is for the next generation to step up and save, at least what I think is the Shinobi world, right? That's if the writers want that to be the conclusion. If Boruto saves the old way of the Shinobi, maybe they don't want him to save it. Maybe it'll be some plot twist and Kawaki and Boruto come to a compromise and things change forever. Who knows? But the point is, Kurama will not be revived. It is very, very unlikely. Very unlikely. And as much as us old G Naruto fans want that, it's very unlikely. You know, things change, aspects change, animes move on, and it's just the way it is. Unless you're Dragon Ball, which has Goku as the main character for 30 plus years. But let's continue. Alright, next three here. Will Naruto and Sasuke die? Now, these are two possibilities that I think almost absolutely will take place. The first one is they literally die, right? They're killed off. Maybe the cyborgs are too much for them. And maybe that's what makes Boruto step up and really become a war-torn veteran of a shinobi. Seeing his father die, seeing Sasuke die, maybe that's what's going to push Sarada and Boruto to the next level. That could be very possible. It could happen very soon. You know, Code is in the village now. In the last chapter, he was in the village. It could end very, very badly. Who knows what will happen with that? Right. So that's option number one. They actually die in battle. The number two option is that they die symbolically, meaning that they're useless, essentially. They're Tsunade and... yeah, they're basically Tsunades. They're just there. Right. They're just guys that you can come to for advice. And that's all they are. So in a way, they'll be dead anyway. They won't be that relevant. They'll start to fade into the background, and that's all she wrote. Right? Which is another sad thing, because they're no longer relevant. And unfortunately, with the passing of the torch, like I said previously, it's inevitable. It will happen. Maybe not next chapter. Maybe not the next 50 chapters. But eventually, it will happen. And we're gonna have to accept that. Or not read the manga anymore, or watch the anime. Simple as that. So that's my opinion on will Naruto and Sasuke die. I think highly likely, one way or the other, they will die. Yes. Who are the parents of Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Tsunade? Well, Tsunade's parents are a little easier to kind of imply, right? Her grandfather was Hashirama Senju, so her fucking parents were the children of Hashirama. Whoever they are. Simple as that. Jiraiya... who knows? And Orochimaru, who knows that? How do his parents look like? Are they these snake-type creatures that seemingly have all kinds of abilities and things of that nature? Who knows? That's very, very intriguing, right? Jiraiya's is probably some random-ass people within the village, right? Were his parents that were irrelevant. Orochimaru, who knows? I don't know where he came from, what he is exactly. But yeah, that's a very interesting one to answer that question. Number 15. Why has Kakashi been wearing a mask since childhood? I think it's just his thing. I think it was just his thing. It's just a aesthetic thing. Or you could look at it from a thematic aspect, right? He did have it even before his father's death, but maybe he kept it all this time as a symbol of him masking his pain, right? He lost his father, he lost Obito, he lost Rin, he lost his sensei. He's been through a lot, right? He's a war-torn veteran. Maybe that mask represents all that. And for some of you that's saying, well, he had it before all that shit happened. But at that point, you can just say, well, it's an aesthetic thing. Maybe he just likes fucking masks. Maybe he's insecure about his face. Not to say he's ugly, clearly he's not. But who knows? It's either aesthetics, it can be looked as a symbolic thing, however you want to look at it. So the answer to why has Kakashi been wearing a mask in childhood? Because he feels like it, right? And maybe the reason he wears it now is to have it as a symbol, right? A symbol of what he's been through. Let's continue. All right. Who will scar Boruto's eye? I think the most obvious answer to that would be Kawaki. I think Kawaki's going to get to a place where Boruto can no longer compromise with him, and he's going to have to take matters into his own hands, and that's when we're going to see the time skip. So, highly likely Kawaki's the one. It is highly likely, right? The only alternate option would be maybe someone like Sasuke with his sword, but that would make sense now since Momoshiki can never emerge. Unless we get some plot twist where he can, right? Or maybe Code does some shit to Boruto or something like that. I think the most viable candidate for this scar will be Kawaki. It could be one of the cyborgs, maybe Code's claw gets him in the eye. But Kawaki's probably the most probable candidate for that. That's my opinion, though. Who's Metal Lee's mother? I mean, we'll never know that, I'm pretty sure, unless they make some filler about it. Which would be a huge day within the Boruto fandom, Naruto fandom. It would be gigantic if we found out who his mother was. But my assumption would be they would have done that at the beginning, just like with everyone else's fucking parents, right? Inojin, Chocho. We would have found out right away. I don't see the point of telling us now. So we'll never know. We'll never know who the mother was, right? Number 18. Will Sarada awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan? If so, how? I mean, it's just a matter of time. It only makes sense that she would, right? If she's Sasuke's daughter, there's no way that she doesn't, right? They've already talked about the Mangekyo Sharingan before. She asked Sasuke about it. Again, this event will be a perfect setup for Sasuke's death, as bad as that sounds. If he dies in front of her eyes, she will awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. There's no doubt about that. She will awaken it. So that's the perfect setup. I mean, how can you make it any better? How could you make it any better? Maybe Naruto dies in front of her eyes, right? So someone dying is how she's going to awaken it. And do I think she will? Yes, I do think so. I do think so. Let's continue. Alright. In episode 1, is the antagonist Kawaki or Boruto? I think it's safe to say it's most likely Kawaki based off his statements, based off of Boruto seemingly appearing as the protector of the old way of the shinobi, and just from what we're learning, right? Just from what we've learned. It seems Kawaki's the one that's going more left than Boruto. Right? He's going more left than Boruto, especially now that Boruto has complete control of the karma and has no fear of Momoshiki reawakening and resurrecting, right? So Kawaki, I would say, is more likely than not the antagonist, and I think he's going to represent the killer of the old way of the shinobi, right? The ninja way that Naruto religiously used to assert. I think he is the killer of that, or will try to be. In his mind, it's no longer a viable option. With cyborgs emerging, with technology advancing, and with shinobi being outclassed casually by these cyborgs to the point where they're fucking fodder, and that's gonna get to him. It already is getting to him, right? Clearly it is. So I think he's going to be the antagonist, in my opinion. However, we could be wrong, and maybe Boruto is. But my opinion is Kawaki, most likely. Who is the leader of the Otsutsuki? That's a question we really can't answer yet, right? There isn't much to go based off of yet. But there's a lot of people that imply that there's this sort of a god Otsutsuki, right? Like this god among the Otsutsuki, which would be fucking ridiculous, right? The amount of power that person would have, or that entity would have, would be ridiculous. So I can't really answer that question. I can't even give any headcanon, right? Not really. But let's continue on to the next one. Did Madora's plan work in all the events in Boruto as an infinite Tsukuyomi? Listen, if that was the case, and we found out, that would be the biggest plot twist in anime history. However, this is why I think it is not. Conflict. People being nerfed. People dying. Otsutsuki. That goes against the whole point of the infinite Tsukuyomi. It's supposed to be a dreamlike state. And I think in that dreamlike state, Naruto wouldn't have fucking Boruto dying in front of his face like he seemingly did. Obviously, he's okay now. But that wouldn't be in an infinite Tsukuyomi. People fucking dying. His own son dying in front of his eyes. Kurama dying. You really think he'd want that? No. Because I highly, highly doubt that that's the infinite Tsukuyomi. So no. It didn't work. He was defeated. Next couple ones here. Number 22. Where does Boruto's Jogan come from? If I'm not mistaken, didn't Tornari give it to him? I think it's as simple as that. Again, let me know if I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Tornari has something to do with where Boruto's Jogan came from. Alright, so number 23. Who took care of Naruto as a child? Essentially, he had people that would supervise him, but he was ostracized from the village, as we know, when he became the Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki. And he basically grew up in an empty house, where I'm assuming maybe his sensei would come in and check up on him, or maybe the third Hokage would send someone to come check up on him. Maybe he had to see he has food and shit, but he essentially took care of himself. No one gave a fuck about Naruto, right? He had a terrible childhood, terrible. So he took care of himself. They gave him the necessities, the basic needs for him to eat and drink and whatever, but no one took care of him, man. That's the answer. I'm sure they only checked up on him periodically just to make sure he's still eating and he's still alive. That's all they give a shit about, to be honest. Clearly. Why was Hashirama the only one in the Forest clan who possessed the element of wood? Most likely because he was the reincarnation of Ashura, right? It only makes sense that he's the chosen one, so to speak. So he has this godly ability, right? Godly ability. Similar to why Naruto was given six paths, excuse me. He was given it later on, but the point is, you're the chosen one. You're the chosen one. And you're just given special abilities. Simple as that. Alright, folks, last two here. These are some interesting questions, though, right? Interesting questions. Alright, last two. What disease did Itachi have, or was it the aftermath of the Mangekyo Sharingan? Here's what we do know. I believe he was taking medication prior to his death, right? Which is very odd. As far as the effects the Mangekyo Sharingan has, there isn't much on it in the first place, right? Because, of course, Itachi had an illness. But however, Obito did not. When he would use it, he could spam it. So maybe it depends from individual to individual. Because Itachi had a very potent ability with the Tsukuyomi. Maybe it gave him some peculiar side effects that were only unique to him. Right? Obito got none. You could fucking spam calmly for fucking days. So to say it was the aftermath of Mangekyo Sharingan, who knows? Maybe it depends from person to person, ability to ability. Or maybe he really did have some kind of sickness that we'll never know. Like maybe a cancer-like sickness, or... In my opinion, it most likely is because of his eyes, but... However, knowing that he took medication, it probably is some sort of disease that we just will never know what exactly entailed, right? If he had to take medication for it, then it most likely had to be a disease, because if it was a Mangekyo Sharingan, then wouldn't everyone take that medication that has one, right? Like Sasuke. Again, we'll never know. It is ambiguous. It is a mystery. However, my opinion is he probably did have some sort of disease. He probably did have some sort of disease, maybe because of his abilities. Maybe it's deeper than we'll ever know, right? So, yeah, he probably did have some disease. Number 26. Toichi can defeat all the Otsutsuki, but why is he pretending to be weak? Very good question. Toichi is the god of Naruto. Okay, he is God. He is the reason why Naruto became Hokage. He is the reason why everything is to be. He is the reason why the Naruto verse is thriving. To be quite honest, he is God. The truth is, he's God, and we just don't know it. He's omnipotent, omniversal. Shit, he's hyperversal. That's right. He really is. He can solo all the Otsutsuki. Probably defeat the god of Otsutsuki. Shit, maybe he is the god of Otsutsuki and he's playing everyone like a fiddle. It's as simple as that, folks. So to answer your question, why is he pretending to be weak? Because he can.